What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week episode. It's Dr. Matt this week. I'm really excited to be with you guys. Have some really interesting information that we're going to make practical. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with a question today. And my question is, how is stress affecting you? Really? Like, how is stress really affecting you? Because we all have it, right? It doesn't stop. There's going to be more. For sure, there's going to be more, but do we really get through it in one piece? That's the question. So seemingly, most people would say, yeah, I get through it in one piece. I can say that I'm still here, I'm still alive. Yeah, I get through it in one piece, but how do you really know? So let me ask you this. Let's paint a different scenario. Have you ever had a day that's just so filled with stuff that you're just running from thing to thing to thing to thing, you're behind, you're constantly anxious, and you're just moving on hyperdrive. You're going from work to picking up the kids to whatever it looks like. And by the end of the day, you get home and your head is starting to spin. You can't seem to shut your brain off. So you stay up a little too late out of your normal rhythms, and you finally crash after the come down happens, and you wake up to an alarm only to feel extremely exhausted. Sounds familiar, right? Some of you are probably sitting there and you're like, wow, you just described like 3 out of my 5 work days, or wow, you just described the last 3 months of my life, or oh my gosh, I feel like that every day. That's not normal. Like, most people don't feel like that. So this is an example of how stress and circumstances create small imbalances in your body's natural ability to heal itself over time. Your physiology will actually change. This is the part that we don't quite wrap our minds around as Americans. Is, we just kind of think that those little things don't have a big play and a big effect, but over time, that way of living, we'll just say, starts to add up, and small imbalances in your body's physiology is created. So here's the problem. We normalize it, right? Just like what I mentioned earlier, we just say, well, everybody's stressed. Everybody has busy days. Everybody has, a lot of deadlines at work. Everybody, it's normal. It might be common in our society, but it's certainly not normal. But we take those things that we normalize, and we just say, well, it's just for a short term. It's just for a season. I'm going to work really, really hard right now so I get that promotion. I'm going to, make sure that I'm going to the gym really, really early so I can get home and have breakfast with my family, and then I can get out the door and get to work. And yet over the years, we have countless days like this, or even just mixed in, and it creates a lot of stress on the body. So with advanced technology today, there are countless ways to measuring output of the body. I think a lot of society, we're steering away from traditional blood work and those basic blood panels, the basic CBC at your doctor every year, that really just is garbage and doesn't tell you much of anything other than like, well, you don't need a blood pressure medication, or you don't need a statin drug or cholesterol medication, or you don't need medication of any kind. You're doing okay, but it's just so basic that people are starting to wake up and realize, like, there are a lot better tests out there. There are a lot better means of understanding kind of what's under the hood, so to speak, of the body, what's going on in the physiological process of the body. So now people are choosing advanced forms of blood work, which gives insight into inflammatory biomarkers. It gives biological age predictors. It does a lot with looking at a little bit more depth in how our thyroid's functioning, or maybe what our C-reactive protein or LP little a or our LDL-C is doing, and from an inflammation standpoint, what our homocysteine levels are doing. And you might be listening to this and you might be saying, like, what in the heck is he even talking about? I've never even heard of those things. Well, this is something to look into, because there are much better blood panels out there that really do predict what's going on in the physiology of the body. Now, I'm not here to sell you a blood test, but I am here to inform you. And so we'll switch gears. We'll switch away from blood and we'll move into sleep trackers. You guys have probably heard some of these terms, like Oura Ring. That's a big one nowadays, or maybe Whoop or Garmin. So they actually have the ability to track a few different metrics, and they give you what's called a readiness score of the day. And you wake up in the green, or you might wake up in the yellow, and it's like, yeah, it's right, I'm not feeling so well. Or you wake up and you're completely in the red. Now, all of these insights are helpful in some way, but one of my favorites, and what I believe is the most accurate form of measuring stress and measuring the application of the nervous system, is looking at your sympathetic and your parasympathetic tone. So let me explain. Your sympathetic tone is the reactivity of the nervous system. It is your fight or flight. It's when you are walking through the woods and you see a bear. Instantly, your body goes into fight or flight. Your sympathetic nervous system engages, all the blood pumps away from your core, and it moves into your extremities, your arms and legs, and your muscles so that you can run away. And a lot of us, we're not running from bears in society, but we are running from deadlines, and we're running to after school activities. So we are constantly in a state of fight or flight. Now, that's the fight or flight portion of the nervous system. The parasympathetic is our ability to rest, recover, digest. So after you eat a big meal, your body is going to pump blood away from your legs, away from your arms, because you're not trying to run away, you're trying to digest. So it's going to send blood to the core. And your pupils don't need to be so wide and dilated, so as you're running away from a bear, they can actually shrink. And again, you're not focused on surviving, you're focused on recovery, eating, digestion, the opposite side of the process. So to have a healthy, adaptable nervous system, it's important that your sympathetic and parasympathetic tone should be in balance, because the thing about the nervous system is it controls every function of the body. And if you're a practice member with us, you've heard this from us on repeat. But the truth is the truth. And the truth is that your body has an inborn wisdom God put there for us to be able to function, to heal, to regulate, and adapt normally. And when there are imbalances created by life stressors, our body moves outside of homeostasis, moves outside of normal rhythms, and we start to have dysfunction. So at the Premier Life, we're always striving to have the highest level of care. We're always striving to help you get better and to help you understand how your body is functioning, especially when it comes to your nervous system. Which once again, to not hear it too many times, but to hear it just one more time, it's the master control system of the entire body. And it's where stress impacts the body first. So before you start to see changes in your lab values on blood work, before you even start to see symptomatology come about, like headaches or allergies or low back pain or migraines or high blood pressure, whatever the symptom is, before you start to see something there, you are first going to see stress impacting the nervous system. That's why we're excited to share more about this powerful technology that we use in our office every day. And we've rolled this out slow, but it is a newer technology to us, and it's something called Insight Scans. Now, Insight Scans are a really clear, objective way of measuring the nervous system and how it adapts to stress and these imbalances that I've been talking about between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, which affect our ability to function and heal. So one of the key metrics we look at is something called HRV, or heart rate variability. HRV, again, is measuring the tonality of your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So it's, again, showing the difference between your fight or flight portion of your system and your rest and recovery, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. So think of these things like the gas pedal and the brake pedal. So the gas pedal is your sympathetics, and the brake pedal, which allows you to recover, is your parasympathetics. And just like when you're driving a vehicle, you want the brake pedal and the gas pedal working in unison, because if the gas pedal's all the way to the floor, you're going to crash. But if the brake pedal is stuck on, you're going nowhere. And the same is true for our body. So when the body is under prolonged stress, physically, emotionally, chemically, this can create a balance shift. And over time, it can lead to all the symptoms that I just listed. But some of the more minor symptoms that we just kind of say, well, everybody's got it, but are truly just, it's because they're common, is fatigue, poor sleep, brain fog, slow recovery, like feeling achy after you wake up, feeling sluggish, A lot of those things are the early warning signals that something is happening in your body. There are imbalances in your nervous system. And if you don't address it, it will lead to symptomatology, which then you will at some point have to choose to treat. And the way that our society does that is through a medication. Now, the principle here is it's a lot easier to take care of the body and to help it recover and adapt and regulate before the symptom shows up versus treating symptomatology. So I want to give you guys a little information about heart rate variability. There are 4 zones, and it's really a predictable and trackable pattern as people experience stress. But what you want to see on this little color graph, that if you go to our website, thepremierlife.com, there's going to be some great information there about that. You might be able to get a visual about that. But if you actually think about this as like a box, there are 4 zones. Zone 1 is what I call our CrossFit moms. There are CEO types. There are moms with like 6 kids. These are the individuals who are in massive fight or flight, sympathetic overdrive, gas pedals on the ground, and they are just white knuckling it down the highway. If you spend too long with that sympathetic stress, you'll transition to zone 2. And zone 2 is basically you are on fumes. The sympathetics are toast, but your parasympathetics have engaged so much that you seemingly can't find the energy to do anything. You're simply on fumes. And if you spend too long there, you'll move into zone 3, which is just flat out exhaustion. This is where the sympathetics and the parasympathetics decrease. And as you encounter stress, your body is like, oh my goodness, not another one. Oh my goodness, not another one. And you just can't find the energy to fight back. Now, zone 4 is disease process. This is people that have had transplants, shunts in the brain, multiple heart attacks. These are people that are in a very serious neurologic deficit, which is creating massive dysfunction and disease in their body. Is there hope for anybody in any zone? 100%. But you have to offset the stress of the nervous system. Otherwise, you're going to end up treating symptoms. And that's the big message that I could leave you guys with is you have the choice every single day. Are you managing your health, or are you waiting for disease and you're going to manage that? That's at some point going to be the choice. And my hopes is that you will choose to manage your health, because it's a lot easier than managing disease. So with regular scans, that's the cool part in our office. We're not guessing. We're tracking how your body is changing and responding to the care that we provide. A higher HRV means that your body is becoming more adaptable and more resilient, where a lower HRV means that your body is stuck in a stress mode or low power mode. And we need to stay focused on helping your nervous system find balance so you can regulate and adapt. And this is the heart of what we do. It's increasing the resilience of the nervous system and helping your body function at its best so that it can heal, regulate, and adapt better, and you can live a more full life. So if you have any questions about your most recent nervous system scan, most recent HRV, or you just want to learn more about how HRV relates to your health in general, make sure that you don't hesitate. Ask one of our team members, as we are here for you every single step of the way. Guys, thank you so much for being with us this week. We'll see you next time.